Hello my friends! Welcome back to Italian Cooking for Shut-ins. Today's episode is going to be about making sausage pasta, or really sausage pasta sauce. And we're going to begin, as we normally do, with the hand washing. If I may be this bold, I'd like to think about starting each episode with hand washing in today's COVID times as kind of like Mr. Rogers putting on his red sweater at the beginning of each episode. It's kind of essential, and it's kind of the signature move of these episodes. I hope everyone's had a good day. I hope you're having a beautiful day like we are here. Quite warm for the beginning of April. Everybody's out, hopefully keeping 6 feet apart from one another as they enjoy the beautiful day. It's fun to show you this recipe because it's really easy and it's really popular. Technically, to make it, you only need 3 ingredients: sausage, pasta sauce, and pasta. We're going to do some interesting things tonight to show you how you might be able to spice it up. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an alternative to pasta to serve this sauce on. Of course, any pasta you want to use would be fine, and you would just cook it by following the directions on the box. But there may be some of us, especially those who are stuck at home and not able to move around as much as you would normally like to, and you want to avoid the carbs and the calories of the pasta. And a really tasty alternative that's also high in fiber and has the consistency of the long spaghetti is spaghetti squash. So many of you have probably heard of this before. What we're going to do is we're going to basically braise our spaghetti squash in the oven. And we do this by putting it in a baking pan with some water. And we're going to bake it in the oven at 400 degrees. So you probably can't see, maybe you can see it. The oven here set at 400 degrees. It's preheated and ready to go. So what I've taken is a spaghetti squash. I've split it in half, cleaned it like you would clean a pumpkin. I'm going to set her right in the oven. And she's going to cook while we're doing the rest of our recipe. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do to make the sauce is I'm going to add the sausage. I have here a saucepan that's heated with a little bit of olive oil in it, as you can see, which covers the bottom just to keep things from sticking. I've heated this at the setting of 5 on the stove, so medium heat. And I'm just going to add my sausage and saute it till it's browned. And this will just take a few minutes of stirring the sausage around, kind of keeping it moving while the heat is underneath it. To accelerate that process a little bit, what I'm going to do is put the lid back on the pan and seal the heat in. It's a little bit quicker and just slightly more energy efficient. Okay. I'll put that top on. And as the sausage begins to brown, we'll be back. Okay, so after a few minutes, now we can see that it's starting to turn brown. Okay. So I want to take a second to specify what exactly I'll put in here. What we're browning are 2 packages of mild Italian sausage. We picked up Johnsonville brand. But really, any one of your favorite brands of the mild, or you could use hot, really whatever you like to eat, you can use that. The two 19-ounce packages. The previous time I cooked this, I used just one, And my husband and I and our son consumed all of it pretty much in one setting. So I'm actually making a double batch here so it lasts us a little bit longer. What I did was I cut the sausage prior to preparing it for cooking. So 2 19-ounce packages of Italian sausage, mild or hot, whatever brand you choose. Cut it up, and then we saute it in a little bit of olive oil to get it brown on all sides. Okay. Just kind of keep it moving to get all the sides browned. Okay. And we're almost there, but we'll come back when it's done. All right, so it looks like our sausage is brown on all sides. Like so. All right, so now what I'm going to do, and this is going to seem a little counterintuitive, I'm going to take the sausage out of the pan, reserving as much of the juice from the sausage as I can. Okay. And I'll just, as I'm doing this, I'll just take a second to explain a couple of things. Some of you may be wondering if any one of these episodes is going to show you how to make the Italian meatballs that are famously served as part of the Meatballs for Memory fundraiser. And the answer is no, 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 no. That's a family secret recipe that is reserved for special occasions like Meatballs for Memory. Although I've been thinking about doing a video and saving it in the deep archive. So if anything ever happens to me, my husband and my son and anyone else will know how to carry that recipe forward. I kind of hope after this whole COVID thing is over and things get returned to some kind of different normal, that someday when my son goes away to school, he'll watch these videos and think of me sometimes. Okay. I really wish that I had memories, that I had videos to remind me of my dad now that he's gone. And so maybe it sounds morbid, but I hope that these will be a memory of me for my next generations who want to cook. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm adding some vegetables. I'm adding some very small mince onion, carrot, and celery. And that seems a little bit odd. You're probably wondering, why in the heck are you going to put those things in a pasta sauce? And there's actually 2 reasons for it. One is it adds flavor to the sauce. And the second is that it adds body to the sauce. So this way, the sauce is thick and flavorful, and there's more substance to it. It's beyond just sausage and sauce. All right. And that helps the sauce last a little bit longer. And it's a way to add a little bit more nutritional value and fiber to your sauce. Fiber makes your microbiome happy. All those bacteria in your gut that help you digest, they need fiber. Where did I put my, here it is. They need fiber to function. And so doing this allows you to put some fiber in your meal. And it's really super sneaky because by cooking these vegetables in the sausage juice, they soften and they take on the flavor of the sausage as much as they're adding their own flavor to the sauce as a whole. So that was, with the 2 packages of sausage, that was 2 carrots and a handful of celery stalks, maybe 4, 5, something like that. 1 medium onion. And now I'm going to add some garlic as well, because how much garlic is too much? there isn't too much garlic. So we're going to add some of that right on in there, a couple heaping teaspoons. All right. So we're going to let that simmer until the vegetables soften. And as with the browning of the sausage, this happens quicker with the lid on. So I'm going to put that lid on, and we'll be back. Oh, and I forgot one thing. I'm also adding diced bell pepper. I'm adding diced orange bell pepper, and underneath this is yellow bell pepper, just fresh from the produce section. I love sausage with peppers. In fact, the two of them constantly go together. It's hard to imagine eating sausage without eating bell pepper. You could use red, you could use green. We happen to have yellow and orange in the house, and that's what we're using. It also is the case that you can get in the freezer section of the grocery diced bell pepper. It's green. So if you don't want to go to the trouble of dicing up fresh bell pepper, it's not too hard to get it frozen, and that will keep for long periods of time if you're in a situation like we're in now, where you need to minimize your number of trips to the grocery store. So there's always an easy way to do things. We have our pre-minced garlic to make that easier. I'm not sure that I've seen pre-minced celery or onion, but gosh, it wouldn't surprise me if it's out there. So it's worth taking a look. If it's something that you want to add and you'd like to have the flavor, but the time that it takes to do the dicing seems prohibitive, it's worth checking out. Or if you have the means, you might consider a food processor. It takes seconds. In fact, for me, it takes me longer to figure out how to get the dang top to lock onto the bottom than it does to actually dice the ingredients that are inside. So that's a very convenient tool to use if you can figure out how to get the stupid thing to lock. All right, so we're going to let these soften, and I'll be back. Okay, so the vegetables are starting to get soft now. And so at this very important phase of cooking, the next step is to take a sip of the wine that you have next to you while you're doing this. And after that, you add the sausage back to the pot. So if you're not going to do the vegetable phase of this cooking, we're basically now starting back where we left off when the sausage was browned. You want to dump all of that back in there, juice and everything. I'm going to stir that up, and I'm going to add a few extra herbs. Again, this is optional. If you've got your favorite sauce and you don't want to change it at all, then don't. But I love oregano. I put it on almost everything, so I'm going to add some here. Just kind of sprinkle it over the top. All right, and I'm going to add marjoram. And you might ask, well, Anna, why do you use marjoram? Why not use basil? And the answer is, I really don't know. I like marjoram. Basil's fine too. There's no reason why you couldn't add it. If you're growing herbs in your garden, there's no reason why you couldn't add fresh herbs to this. But it's not that season for us, so we're using the dried ones. Hopefully, before too long, the herbs that I plant will come in, and I'll have some fresh things to work with. All right. So we're just kind of going to stir everything up and let it simmer for a few minutes longer before adding the sauce. And as a reminder, what we have added to the 2 packages of the 19-ounce packages of sausage are 1 medium onion, about 3 heaping teaspoons, or really not teaspoons, but like serving teaspoons full of garlic. We have 2 carrots, and we have roughly 5 or so stalks of celery. They're sauteed together with the juice from the sausage and a little bit of olive oil, and now they're all simmering happily together. And then once they've simmered together just a little bit, I'm going to add the spaghetti sauce. I've chosen Prego Traditional because that's our family favorite. Choose your family favorite to add to the sausage. And that pretty much will complete the sauce. And I should add too that this loosely called recipe, just like the pasta fagioli and to some degree the chicken parmesan, I've made all of these up. There really isn't anywhere where you could necessarily find these recipes, but you can find things that come close. The younger people aren't going to get this reference, but I like to MacGyver things. And I get a lot of joy out of making things from the things that we have in the fridge already or in the freezer cabinet already. And I like taking recipes that I find online or in cookbooks and modifying them based on what we like in our house. So this sausage pasta recipe is one of those experiments that sort of evolved as I played around. So I hope that you'll enjoy playing around with this too, because there really is no right answer. It's what you love, it's what your family will eat, and it's what will keep you eating something that you enjoy. If there's been anything positive about this whole COVID thing, it's helping you recognize the importance of valuing every minute that you have and bringing joy to those minutes for yourself and for others. And if this cooking can do that, that makes me super happy. All right. So it's cooking at a good simmer now. And this gives us confidence that the vegetables are soft and the sausage is fully cooked through. All right. So finally, I'm going to add the pasta sauce. And just by eyeballing it, I'm going to guess that I'm going to wish that I had more than 1 jar of sauce. If you like your pasta sauce really saucy, well, maybe that's going to work. I think that's going to work. I'm going to say if you like it real saucy, you may want more, but actually, I think that this 67-ounce bottle is going to do the trick. Yay for Prego. Okay, so before you stir everything, you take another sip of your wine, and then everybody gets close. No social distancing in the pasta sauce pot. Everything merges together. Now, if this doesn't last me for a few nights, I will be very sad, because we really are trying to minimize our trips to the grocery store. Keep ourselves and everyone around us safe. All right, so we're going to let this simmer. Really, you can let it simmer as short or as long as you like, kind of like the pasta fagioli. It will taste better the longer you simmer it, and it will probably have even more flavor on the following days that you eat it. It makes great leftovers. It's easy to freeze. It's super easy to serve. If you're taking meals to people who are homebound, this is another really easy one to do. And at this point, while it's simmering and going through its final cooking phases, this is when you would put your pasta on and cook according to the instructions in the box. To do the spaghetti squash, we have to test to see whether it's done. And we do that by taking our trusty fork, and we want to be able to poke the fork all the way through the skin of the spaghetti squash. I wonder if you can't quite see that. All right, I'm pressing my fork in, and it is not done. Definitely not done. Neither one is done. That's probably going to take another 15 minutes or so to cook. So I'm going to let my sauce simmer for that time while I'm waiting for the spaghetti squash to finish. And when that happens, we'll be back. And I should mention one other thing. once you've got the sauce in there and it's pretty hot, you want to turn the heat down and just kind of simmer it gently. There's no need to go crazy with it. It should just cook gently, kind of zen out while it produces lots of flavor for you and your family to enjoy. Welcome back. We're in the final phase. The spaghetti squash is now pierceable with a fork all the way through, like so. It should just pierce right easily with that fork, both sides. All right, and what I want to do is demonstrate how you get the spaghetti squash out. I can't say that I have the most graceful technique, and there's probably better ways to do this, but here's what I do with the utensils I have. I pierce the squash at the top, like so, and then scooping out the spaghetti squash, it's just a matter of, I should probably do it with the other hand, scraping it with a fork. You'll be able to see it. Okay. You just scrape it down with a fork. And as you can see, it does have the consistency of pasta, of the long pasta. I've cooked this in salted water, but to serve it with the pasta, it can't hurt to add a little bit more salt, maybe a little pepper. Some people like to put Parmesan cheese on it. That's also tasty. I find that the pasta sauce, once you've got that on the, once you have it on the squash, it's actually very difficult to taste the difference between squash and actual pasta. So I don't go crazy with adding extra flavors to it. But everyone's got a different preference. It's really up to you. Again, it's what you're going to enjoy eating. It's what will help you get your family eating more vegetables because they're good for you and they're fun to eat. Okay, I think that's pretty much all of the squash from this side. I should note that I rinse the squash carefully before putting it in the dish to cook, so that we don't have to worry about the rind of the squash being in the same bowl as the squash that we're going to eat. All right, so voila! Now you can see how it looks like pasta. Okay, so plating this is a simple matter of scooping out your pasta, like so. And adding some sauce, which we've kept simmering on a low heat for the time that it's taken the spaghetti squash to finish cooking. And boy, do I wish that you could smell through this camera, because it really smells good. And the combination of the sausage and the pepper is just so delightful. It really is a wonderful homey flavor. Makes you feel like everything's fine. Okay, and then to close, of course, we have our trusty Parmesan cheese. And that's it. Whoops, whoa, gotta be careful you open the right side. Sprinkle some of that on. We're getting precariously low on Parmesan cheese, which is something we aim to correct with our last order to Hy-Vee. But there you have it. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something. And happy eating. See you next time.